Good evening, welcome to ITV News. This is Monday night's calendar.
And here are tonight's main stories.
Another pointless loss of a young life. Police name a boy stabbed to death at a Leeds house party as 17-year-old college student Trust Gangata.
Until we all actually wake up and think, do you know what, it's also my responsibility to deal with something like this, it's not going to go away.
A friendship formed in conflict 20 years after the Iraq War. We catch up with the Yorkshire soldier shot in the face and the comrade who helped save his life.
Back to Tommy Doyle. Oh, what a job that is!
Que sera, sera. The Blades book themselves a place in the FA Cup semis with this injury time thunderbolt. All the action and reaction coming up.
And the story of one Pudsey pooch who had a remarkable escape. Join us later for all the details.
But first tonight, what has been described as the devastating death of a young man who was stabbed at a house party in Leeds.
17-year-old college student Trust Gangata died after a disturbance in Armley early yesterday morning. In a tribute, his college described him as friendly, sociable and kind and a role model to his friends.
Well, Michael Billington has spent the day at the scene and he sent us this report.
Well, Trust Gangata's family are tonight trying to come to terms with the loss of the 17-year-old who was taken from them, as the senior investigating officer described today, in such sudden and violent circumstances. He was stabbed at a house party here in Salisbury Grove in the early hours of yesterday morning and taken to hospital where medics confirmed that he died. Now, Trust, known as TJ to his friends, was a student at Notre Dame Catholic Sixth Form College in Leeds, and today they have said that the college community is devastated by this news and we have him, his family and his friends in our thoughts and prayers. Trust's teachers have described him as a friendly, sociable and kind student who always contributed positively in class, while friends called him hard-working, funny and loyal, a role model to his friends who always had a smile on his face. Well, this latest death has prompted fresh calls for more to be done to try and stop the blight of knife crime.
We need to be better at communicating, not just police. The police have got Operation Gemlock. They've taken out 8,500, they've arrested 8,500 people, taken out over 1,600 knives. But it's not enough on our own. We need to be working with the schools, with the colleges, with parents, faith institutions. All of us have got a role to play, because if we don't come together and do something differently, this will become our norm.
Well, that's a sentiment echoed by one anti-knife crime campaigner from Leeds who's been working to try and teach about the dangers of knives from a young age.
Until we all actually wake up and think, do you know what, it's also my responsibility to deal with something like this, it's not going to go away. We're going to be, you're going to come back to me in a couple of years, say the same thing, and then we're going to have the same kind of rhetoric. Let the community start to put pressure on your councillors, on your MPs. Let's start saying, right, OK, what are you going to do? We've lost yet another life.
Well, 4 men have now been arrested, an 18-year-old from Huddersfield and 3 men from Bradford, one aged 18 to aged 19, all arrested on suspicion of murder. Meanwhile, back here, as you can see, there's been another day of intense police activity. Forensics officers searching for evidence, while detectives from West Yorkshire's Homicide and Major Inquiry team say they now want to speak to any of the large number of people who were at a party here on Sunday morning. They're also hoping to hear from anyone who might have CCTV, phone or dashcam footage that might help their investigation into the murder of 17-year-old Trust Gangata.
Michael Billington reporting there. And meanwhile, a 17-year-old accused of murdering a 15-year-old boy outside a school in Huddersfield has told a court he did not realise he had stabbed him. The teenager is accused of the murder of Kyra McLean last September. He denies going to this school to stab Kyra and said he did not know his knife had gone through his leg when they had got into an altercation. A 15-year-old has already pleaded guilty to murder and both have admitted possession of a knife. The trial continues.
Well, dozens of people were at Sheffield Town Hall today for the screening of a new film which aims to show the devastating consequences of knife crime in our communities.
The film, Victims' Voices, features the organisation Always an Alternative and hears from a number of people who've lost friends and loved ones.
This project, Victims' Voices, was created to give you a look at the life of those families that have been devastated through knife crime. My fight with knife crime has had its ups and downs over the years, but one thing I've never really understood is this "it won't happen to me" mentality between people and knife crime. So I find a tiny fraction of people that have been unfortunate enough to feel the true devastation of what knife crime causes, in the hope that we can save a life.
Well, our reporter Emma Wilkinson was at the screening of that film in Sheffield today, and she can tell us more about how it hopes to turn the tide on this growing problem.
Knife crime in South Yorkshire has risen dramatically over the last decade, and now every day there are on average around 4 knife-related offences recorded. But statistics don't convey the real-life impact of knife crime. In this event today, the artwork around the room and this new film are designed to do just that. The man behind it is Anthony. Anthony, tell me why you wanted to do this today.
So when I go out and work with young people in schools and communities, I sort of get a sense of a disconnect between knife crime and people, sort of "it won't happen to me" kind of outlook on the problem, and I strongly believe that's because they've not felt the true devastation that knife crime causes. So I thought it'd be a good idea to work with the victims' families and give people the truth, the reality, so they can feel the true heartache that knife crime causes. There's lots of stuff in the exhibition. We've got the documentary, we've got the Tree of Opportunity, which is created of 500 weapons that I've collected myself off the streets of South Yorkshire. There are over 30 names of people that have passed away. There's also to the back of me a memorial board with the pictures and messages to those people that have been taken by knife crime, and I hope people see the true devastation that it causes. And I don't just go around talking to young people and warning them about this. It's a serious topic and we need to make a change.
Anthony, thank you very much. Well, one of the people in that film was Andy, who was a PE teacher of Cavambrissy, who was stabbed in 2018. Yeah. This event is about showing what an impact it has on so many people. Had a real impact on you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even walking in today, you know, you sort of like, you can feel the tears well up, because I remember Cavan, you know, as a 16-year-old, full of life, full of absolutely, he walked into a room, you knew he was there. Lovely lad. So yeah, it still hits me now, 5 years this year.
What do you hope people will take away from this film and this whole event?
Well, back in September, my son and I, we climbed Mount Kilimanjaro to raise money for this man, because I want to see more people giving more money to get this guy into schools, talking to more young people, educating families, educating the youth. Because, listen, we haven't got a gang problem here. We've got young people carrying knives. So I want to get behind this guy as much as I can.
Andy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, the artwork in this room, this film, will all be on display here for the next 2 weeks, and the hope is that it will reach as many people as possible. Emma Wilkinson, ITV News in Sheffield.
Well, you're watching Monday Night's Calendar with Lisa and Ian, and still to come...
Hands on! Best ever game I've been to! We're going to Wembley!
There was late drama at Bramall Lane as this Tommy Doyle stunner sent fans into rapture, and the Blades on their way to Wembley.
And it's been rainbow weather this weekend and continues to be pretty unsettled weather-wise through this week. Probably very spring-like. All the details are coming up.
More of the day's news now, and killer Michael Sams, who's serving 4 life sentences for kidnap and murder, was due to make a fresh bid for freedom today when he appeared before a parole board panel. Sams, who's from Newark, kidnapped 18-year-old Julie Dart in 1991 and kept her in a coffin-style box before killing her and dumping her body on a farm in Lincolnshire. He later kidnapped 25-year-old estate agent Stephanie Slater, but released her 8 days later. The parole board decision is expected within 2 weeks.
Fire crews are still on the scene of a huge blaze which broke out in Mansfield, forcing hundreds of people out of their homes. Nottinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service says the fire, which started on an industrial estate on Forest Road on Saturday, is mostly extinguished, but 4 fire engines are still turning over rubble to check for hotspots. The road is still closed and a joint fire and police investigation will take place when the area is safe. Now, this week marks 20 years since the start of the UK and US-led invasion of Iraq to end the regime of Saddam Hussein. The conflict would go on to claim the lives of 179 British personnel.
Countless more were left with physical and mental scars. Among them, Leeds veteran Simon Brown, who was blinded after he was shot in the face by a sniper. Simon has been talking to Kevin Ashford about how he and others are still dealing with the consequences of the war 2 decades on.
All right, mate. All right.
Good morning.
All right, cheers, mate.
It's a friendship forged in the darkest of times. Simon Brown from Leeds and Warren Ward both served in the British forces in Iraq during the Allied invasion, which began 20 years ago. Simon was shot in the face while out on patrol. Warren drove the vehicle that got him to safety.
I would never put it down to one person because there were so many people on the ground at the time. You know, that it was a team. It was a team effort. But yeah, he was one of the key. It was one of the key elements to me getting to the medical facilities.
Warren continued serving and was later severely injured himself in a mortar attack. At one stage he was told he would never walk again. During his recovery, his mental health suffered. He drew strength from a thank you letter that Simon had dictated while he was in hospital.
I again want to thank you for your efforts in saving my life, and congratulations to you on a spanking piece of driving. I know for a fact this letter has saved my life twice. On one occasion I was depressed and I didn't know what was up with me. I felt like I didn't fit into civilian life or society, and I got this letter out and I read it, and it didn't cheer me up, but it gave me positivity, if that makes any sense.
Carol Betteridge has helped treat casualties in wars all over the world. She served as a nursing officer in the Royal Navy, rising to the rank of captain. She now heads the medical team at the Help for Heroes charity. Carol says it's often not just the veterans of conflicts like Iraq who need support.
Behind every injured soldier there's an injured family, so that's what's important to us in delivering our holistic care, is that we look at that veteran, that serving personnel as a whole. So their family, their friends, their support system, their chosen family, which might be a neighbour or a friend. You know, we look after them all as a package, really.
The 20th anniversary of the start of the Iraq War is going to be an emotional time for many, as they reflect on those who lost their lives and those who are still living with the consequences of the conflict. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
While the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30, here's a look at what's happening with Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on tonight's programme, the climate time bomb is ticking. We've got a special report from Pakistan, which is still recovering from devastating floods, as the UN warns urgent action is required. The DUP confirms it will be voting against Rishi Sunak's new Brexit deal. Vladimir Putin meets with China's President Xi in a political boost for Russia. And Tesco makes a big change to its club card scheme. But what will it mean for customers' points? Would you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Well, thanks very much, Mary. Well, I'm on the late shift today, Lisa.
I know.
Lucky me. So I had a little walk around this morning, a little bit of fresh air, and dare I say it, well, it's beginning to feel just a little spring-like. And what better time to take a stroll through some of the beautiful woodlands right across our region and help design future forests at the same time.
What a good idea, because volunteers are needed to help experts work out exactly which kind of trees we like the most and, apparently, which make us feel the most happy. Amrit Birdie explains all.
Come rain or shine, popular walking spots like the Leeds-Liverpool Canal in Kirkstall in Leeds see thousands of visitors every year, itching to get out into the great outdoors. But imagine if the trees around you were designed to make your visit even more beneficial for your mood and well-being. Well, that's exactly what a new project called Tree Fest has set out to do. The link between getting out in nature and our mental health is well known about. But now researchers want to take it one step further and look into exactly what types of woodland and nature surroundings can most impact our well-being. Dr. Heather Gilbert is helping with the research and says it has the potential to shape UK forests for generations to come.
We've got a lot of targets in this country at the moment for tree planting and habitat restoration, and we want to make sure that we are both benefiting wildlife and people while we're doing that, so that we've got all these multiple benefits. In order to make sure we're maximising those benefits, we need to know what types of woodlands do people prefer to walk in? How does it make them feel? And so that's what this research is really about. So it's going to be informing future designs of woodlands.
The project requires volunteers to download an app, which will take them on 8 specially selected walks. How the participants are feeling before and after walking in different types of surroundings will be logged and analysed.
We're hoping that the impact of the research will be quite significant. So together with some other research happening as part of the UK Treescapes, we'll be able to understand the knowledge and the value that treescapes, woodlands, forests provide humans.
Participants are still needed, and those working on TreeFest say the research could even shed more light on the mysterious and historic link between humans and nature. Amrit Birdie, ITV News.
OK, well, it's time for some sport now, and Sheffield United are Wembley bound.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Well, Johnny's with us in the studio. A bit of FA Cup action at the weekend for you, because you were at Bramall Lane.
Yes, yes, just about. But what a roller coaster it was. With about 10 minutes to go, it looked like Sheffield United were heading out of the FA Cup at the quarter-final stage because they were losing 2-1 to Blackburn Rovers. But the Blades are made of tough stuff this season, and somehow they managed to turn it around. This was the story of the game.
On the march to a place at Wembley.
Hey up, wait. We're going for it.
These Sheffield United fans certainly fancied their chances of reaching another milestone in what could be an historic season.
Excited! We're going to go all the way to Wembley, aren't we?
Are you booking your hotels already?
We're waiting to see what day we might be playing on first, not counting as chickens before they've hatched.
Quietly confident, yeah.
I think we're going to win.
The atmosphere building, more big screen exposure in the offing, as 25,000 fans packed into Bramall Lane for a winner-takes-all tie, the prize an FA Cup semi-final spot. And it was an end-to-end game from the off, but Blackburn struck first.
And here's a chance for Gallagher!
When this shot was blocked by Jack Robinson, the video assistant referee intervened. Handball the verdict. And despite the distraction techniques, Ben Brereton Diaz did the rest. Paul Heckingbottom's men rallied though, and Max Lowe's drive deflected in off Sam Gallagher to draw them level soon after. But in the second half, Rovers took the initiative again, their pressure telling on 60 minutes when Sammy Smodics put them ahead. Some scrappy exchanges followed, frustration creeping in, before with 10 minutes to go, Ollie McBurney weaved his way through the Blackburn defence to find the bottom corner. 2-2 the score. And as the clock ticked past the 90th minute, a goal worthy of winning any game.
Back to Tommy Doyle.
Well, it might be the big stage of the Premier League that these fans are really after. But for now, they'll have to make do with a trip to Wembley Stadium. Their first FA Cup semi-final in almost a decade awaits, and I'm sure they'll be making lots of noise when they get there.
Come on!
Yes!
Do you enjoy that?
Hands down, best ever game I've been to.
We're going to Wembley.
We're going to Wembley.
What's been a fantastic season so far. Like I say, for me, I'm just focused on capping it off, and it could end up being an unbelievable one.
A last four meeting with Premier League champions Manchester City, now firmly in the diary, with these fans determined to make their mark once again, this time in the capital.
What a day out for those fans. Well, that draw against Manchester City is probably as difficult as it gets, so they'll need all their best players at their disposal. But unfortunately, their goal-scoring hero, Tommy Doyle, might not be one of them. He's actually on loan at the Blades from Manchester City, so it's unlikely he'll be allowed to play against his parent club at Wembley. That also counts for James McAtee, who started yesterday as well. Paul Heckingbottom has said, though, that he will ask City whether they'll make an exception for the semi-final, but as yet, it looks like they'll miss that. Elsewhere, Danny Ward's goal gave Huddersfield a big win in their battle to avoid relegation from the Championship. Rotherham's game against Cardiff will have to be replayed after a huge rain shower forced their game to be postponed just after half-time, with Cardiff 1-0 up. And it's 23 games unbeaten for Sheffield Wednesday after a 1-1 draw with Bolton. Elsewhere, Slobodan Tedic, easy for me to say, scored the only goal as Barnsley won at Wickham. Andy Cook scored twice as Bradford drew at home to Hartlepool. Harrogate beat Barrow thanks to Matthew Daly's strike, and Lucas Akins scored an injury time to earn Mansfield a draw at Stockport. Some ice hockey now, and the Leeds Knights have been crowned the NIHL National Champions. The Knights, who've been a dominant force throughout the season, wrapped up their title with 4 games to spare thanks to a 4-2 win at Telford last night.
They're on a roll, aren't they? There's no doubt about it. And also, there's been something to celebrate off the pitch for one of our region's footballers, Johnny.
Yes, what a year it's been for Beth Mead. She was named England's Player of the Year last year, and she was also named an MBE in the New Year's honours list. But this time around, she's been given the big one. It's the Freedom of the Borough of Scarborough. The Arsenal forward, who grew up in Hinderwell near Whitby, picked up the honour at a special ceremony at Scarborough Town Hall earlier today.
Actually, considering I've won a few honours this year, this one's very different. But yeah, a proud one, I guess. I didn't know so much about it and what it was about, but yeah, I've been explained a little bit more, and yeah, it obviously seems like a really huge honour for me to accept such a prestigious award. I do like coming home. I often don't get a chance to, so when I come home, it's extra special sometimes. It's just nice to have a little bit of home roots and a bit of northern air.
It's not a bad welcome home present, is it? I wish I had that every day.
The freedom of Scarborough. Who could want for more? Cheers, Johnny.
Good to see talent being recognised, isn't it? Yeah, fantastic. Now, finally to the story of one pooch from Pudsey who had a narrow escape after getting stuck down an underground pipe while out on a weekend walk.
Yes, and despite the best efforts of the fire service, the RSPCA and Yorkshire Water, English Bull Terrier Martha couldn't be reached. But thankfully, some quick thinking from a local drains company helped to save her life.
Well, the good news is she's now back at home with her owner. Paul and Matt Price has been to meet the pair of them.
2-year-old Martha loves an adventure more than most, but even this weekend was a little too much for her. This English Bull Terrier found herself trapped in a hidden drain pipe for almost 48 hours.
Blinking ain't Martha.
Back at home, she and owner Paul are recovering, both trying to fathom what on earth went wrong.
Martha was running around in a little stream, and I'd sort of looked away and turned round and she disappeared. And just out the corner of my eye, I saw a culvert, sort of 18 inches wide. And I'm thinking, no, surely she's not gone up there.
But unfortunately, she had.
We went back. We were there for about 4:30 in the morning. And again, we were just sat there, myself and my wife, shouting her, calling her, but nothing was happening.
First up, the fire service, then the water board tried to help, though there was no luck with either. But when Josh and his specialist drain company heard the news, well, they leapt into action.
Oh, you're right, mate.
Are you all right?
Yeah, good.
How's she doing?
She's all right.
He, and help from an excavation company, dug deep, quite literally, to pull this Pudsey pooch out of one massive hole.
I was at my little one's birthday party, to be honest, which I pulled away from. I'm in the doghouse a little bit, to be honest. We're doing that, but obviously saw really that the only way of getting this dog out would be to carry out a dig.
You watching?
At one stage it was thought Martha might have to be put down, but Josh wasn't prepared to let that happen.
Not all heroes wear capes.
I won't call myself a hero. I just hope that one day, if anything ever happened like this to me, I'd hope that people would be willing to help.
Martha is now resting up. Being trapped for so long means she's a little bit sore. All she and Paul want to do now is try and forget this terrible tale. Matt Price, ITV News in Pudsey.
Oh, poor Martha. She does look a bit sorry for herself.
She does.
It could have been a lot worse.
I hope she's had lots of treats.
I'm sure she will have done. And thank goodness for Josh with his expertise with drains.
Certainly a hero, isn't he? Now then, let's get to the weather from Joe Blythe.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. Some nice sunshine at times today, but this week does look very unsettled weather-wise. There'll be spells of rain to come over the next few days at times, but interspersed with the rain, also some warm spells of sunshine, typical spring-like weather. It isn't going to be particularly cold. However, by the weekend, temperatures will take a bit of a dip. Now, low pressure's dominating. Fronts will be moving in from the Atlantic as we go through the next few days, so a feed of showers, longer spells of rain. At times, brisk winds as well, but in the sunshine, it's not feeling too bad and certainly not too chilly until this weekend when temporarily things will turn just a little bit colder. Now back to tonight, a feed of showers merging to form longer spells of rain moving up from the south and west for the next few hours. But through the early hours of Tuesday, this will fragment. We'll see a few breaks in the cloud, perhaps quite a brisk wind tonight, and it's misty and murky, so there's no danger of any frost. 8 or 9 Celsius perhaps away from towns overnight tonight. Damp start to the day for many places, and tomorrow sun times it will be up at 6:07, setting at 6:21. Tuesday, perhaps a cloudy and wet start where you are. We'll see rain moving away quite quickly. Skies will brighten. There's a brisk wind again tomorrow and quite a few showers will crop up during the course of the afternoon. After lunch, there'll be some sunshine around those showers, but watch out for 1 or 2 sharp ones. Temperature-wise, not doing too badly. 14, maybe 15 Celsius, so in the sunshine feeling pleasant. There'll be rain sweeping in during the course of tomorrow night. The middle part of the week, winds pick up, but there will be some nice sunshine to look forward to. Take care.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thank you, Joe. Well, we've done it now, haven't we? We said it was feeling spring-like, and then Joe turns around and says it's going to go cold at the weekend.
Can't believe it. At the weekend, just when we want to be out in the sunshine.
We do. It'll come eventually.
It will. That's all from Calendar for tonight. Thanks very much for watching. And Lisa and I'll see you tomorrow night at 6. For now, good night.
Bye-bye.